Time now for Sports and the Law. Peyton Manning is aggressively denying he took performance-enhancing drugs after a recent report from Al Jazeera Sports. In the Al Jazeera investigation, Manning was allegedly supplied with human growth hormone from the Geyer Institute, an Indianapolis anti-aging clinic, back in 2011 to help him recover from neck surgery. Charles Sly, a former intern at the Geyer Institute, originally told Al Jazeera he mailed HGH to Manning's wife. Sly recanted those statements over the weekend. So that's how we get things started here in our Sports and the Law segment. Steve Moskowitz, our Sports and the Law expert, is here. Let's start with Peyton Manning on this one. He said he probably could sue on this, but what is his case here?
Oh, he's been defamed. Now, what happens is he has some hurdles. First of all, when you go after somebody's profession, it's called damages per se. There's presumed damage. This could really hurt him. Now, he has another hurdle on the other side, though, because he's a public figure. He has to show that the other side either knew it wasn't true or they recklessly disregarded. And here's what bothers me most about this. You have a guy, Sly, shooting his mouth off. But then, when the tire hits the road, he recants. How can you possibly go forward and say he did this when the very source is, no, I was only kidding?
Now, the recanting of the story by Sly, does that help or hurt Manning in any way?
It greatly helps him because the source said, no, it isn't true, and then they publish it. How would you like it if some guy said, you know, I saw Jim Cosimore murder somebody right before the show?
Wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't be good. And then I said, no, I had Jim mixed up with somebody else, or he was shooting his mouth off. How would that affect you?
Now, Charles Sly was an intern at the Geyer Institute. He said that he mailed HGH to Manning's wife. Does the wife have any claim here? Because her medical history is now put into public.
That's a big deal. When you're talking about your medical, that is a big secret, which means that nobody but the patient is supposed to be able to get the information, not even a loved one, unless they sign off. His wife didn't sign off, you can talk about my meds.
By the way, who gets sued in this circumstance if you're Peyton Manning or Peyton Manning's wife? Is it Charles Sly, the person who was talking, or is it Al Jazeera, the network who put the documentary together?
Yes. Everybody in the chain. Yeah. Now, I'm guessing, though, that Charlie maybe doesn't have the resources that Al Jazeera has. On the other hand, you know, Peyton's worth maybe $100 million, and what he has to weigh is, does he want to go through this? Does he want to go through discovery? That's a big deal.
I was going to ask about discovery. Explain how deep discovery goes and how that might open up Peyton Manning's door.
Well, that's where the real problems can come up, because now I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But now he says, look, I didn't do it. Well, he's not under oath. But what if he did? Just for saying, what if he did? Now if he's under oath and he says he didn't do it and he did, ask Barry Bonds about that if you say something under oath and somebody says it's not true.
Manning is a celebrity.
Yes.
How does that change the way this is viewed in the courts?
It gives him an extra hurdle because what happens is he's called the public figure. And what that means is he has to show that the other side knew that it was wrong, they did it anyway, or they were just totally reckless and they did it. That's the extra hurdle.
All right. There's also the case of where you filed this. This was done when he was a member of the Indianapolis Colts. He's now a member of the Denver Broncos. Would you file it only in Indiana because that's where they're talking about this taking place? Or does he file it in Colorado because laws may be different there?
Ah, lawyers love this. It's called forum shopping. What you do is you look at all the cases and all the forums. You choose the forum that's best. We do that in our office. When we have a case and we have a choice of courts. We say, which court is most likely to give us the best decision? What's the best precedent here?
I got to get to the next story. Do you think he sues or not? Do you think he lets it go away?
Probably not. It looks like he's going the PR route.
All right, PR it is. All right, let's move on to our second story. It has to do with daily fantasy sports. You've heard about this, it seems like, for months now. The Illinois Attorney General says daily fantasy is illegal gambling by Illinois rules. DraftKings and FanDuel have sued the state of Illinois over this, and they're going to continue to operate while the lawsuits make their way through the court. A court date has been set for June in this one. All right, Steve, so let's move on to this. How smart is it for the daily fantasies of the world, DraftKings and FanDuel, to keep on playing in Illinois?
Very smart, and I'm sure what their guys are doing is in the back rooms dealing with the legislators and say, look, let's just clear this up legislatively. Let's give us an exception. There's so much money here for you. That's what they're probably doing. And what they've done right now is said to the Attorney General, hey, you may be the top law enforcement officer in the state, but you're just like a cop. You can take action, but you don't make the law. Only a judge can tell me I'm doing something illegal, not you.
There are legal actions going on in other states,
Yes,
including New York. That's really a big ticket. A lot of their
Sure.
clients come from that state. How does what happens in New York affect what could be going on in Illinois?
That's easy because states look at each other, and especially certain states. Most of the country looks to New York and California and say, what do those guys do? And they follow it. So, for example, if New York had a bad decision or California or a big court system had it, that would really be a problem in the smaller states.
How likely is this that this will end up being a state by state, and all of the daily fantasies that are being played will have to go to 50 different judgments and 50 different rules and laws, and then finally, is the states just taking money from the company?
Of course they are. That would be a nightmare because then it's a question of, well, wait a minute, did you go over the state lines? What about Visa and MasterCard? What state are you in? What state's here? And here's what's probably going to happen. Remember I was talking about the back rooms? They're probably going to go for federal legislation, said, give us an exemption like originally with the internet. Give us an exemption. It's in everybody's best interest. Take your tax money and go.
All right, there you have it. Steve Moskowitz cleaning up the daily fantasy, which happens to be in the news each and every week. There's always a new story. Happy New Year to you, Steve.
Happy New Year.
Always great talking to you, and thanks for
Pleasure's
joining.
mine.
Super Bowl 50, a little more than a month away. How can fans without tickets enjoy the Super Bowl experience? We'll discuss that with the CEO of the Super Bowl. That's coming up next on Sports Talk Live.